Sirs and ma'ams, good afternoon. Our distinguished members of the panel in front, media friends, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to this press con for today's event. I'm Colonel Maria Consuelo N. Castillo. I'm the Chief Public Affairs Office of the Philippine Air Force, and I'll be your moderator for this afternoon. We have a very limited time. We have only 10 minutes stops for this, so we are going to entertain 3 to 4 questions. So please avoid follow-up questions. Let me go straight to introducing our esteemed panel. We have here our Officer in Charge, Department of National Defense, Senior Undersecretary Carlito G. Galvez Jr. Sir, good afternoon. We have the Secretary of the Air Force, United States of America, Honorable Secretary Frank Kendall III. We have the U.S. Ambassador to the Philippines, Honorable Mary Kay L. Carlson. Good afternoon, ma'am. We have the Acting Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, Major General Ramon J. Giang, Philippine Air Force. We also have here the Chief of Staff for Plans and Programs, J5, who's the representative of our Chief of Staff, AFP, Major General Jeffrey C. Hechanova, Philippine Air Force. And lastly, we have the Commander, Air Defense Command, Major General Agustin S. Malinit, Philippine Air Force. So for our very first question, it will be coming from one of our local media. May I call on Ms. Sofia Tumacruz from Rappler.
Good afternoon, sirs and ma'am. Just for the first question to Secretary Kendall and Senior Undersecretary Galvez, it was earlier mentioned that 24 million was provided as funding under EDCA for the project, and also another 35 million under the Pacific Deterrence Initiative. Can you give us more details as to why the large investment, and specifically what type of activities and assets might be seen here once upgrades are complete in the runway?
Is it working? There we go. Specific projects. I can't give you a lot of detail on that. We're rehabilitating the runway here to have more capability, and there will be a number of other things that will be done to enhance the capabilities of the airfield. You know, this is one of a number of projects. Is that better? This is there. It's one of a number of projects I think that we have on mind under EDCA as we move forward.
Okay, for our second question, it will come from our foreign media, Ms. Poppy McPherson from Reuters News.
Oh, sorry. Hi, good afternoon. Another question for Secretary Kendall and Senior Undersecretary Galvez. China has criticized the increased defense cooperation between the U.S. and Philippines, saying that the Philippines risks getting pulled into the Taiwan question. What's your response to that? And have you discussed how the Philippines could be involved in a war over Taiwan?
Real quickly, what we have with the Philippines is between the U.S. and the Philippines. It's about our mutual security. It's about peace and stability in the region. Under EDCA and under the defense treaty with the Philippines is between the U.S. and the Philippines. It's about mutual protection and peace and security in the region in general. It's not focused on any other particular issue. The U.S. is a Pacific nation. It has interests throughout the Pacific, and it has relationships with a number of countries, all designed to keep peace and stability in the region in general. And this is a good example of that. So it's for the good of the region, for the good of the two nations that are direct parties in this case.
Yes, as we have said earlier, that the EDCA and all the projects here in Basa Air Base really being welcomed by the local populace, because they know that it will spur economic mobility and development. At the same time, as we have looked at the MDT that we have, the Mutual Defense Treaty, what we are improving is the collective defense that we had. As we all know that this Mutual Defense Treaty really very important to us, considering that as the President had said, that the alliance should be modernized, and the armed forces also should modernize itself so that it could defend itself. So it's not directed to anybody else, but to honor our obligations with the U.S. To have some sort of exercises, joint exercises, and collective capability development, so that we can pursue and implement our vision of having a free and peaceful Indo-Pacific.
Thank you, sir. Up next, we have a question from Ms. Frances Mangosing from Philippine Daily Inquirer.
Good afternoon, sir. This is for Secretary Galvez and Ambassador Mary Kay Carlson. Some local officials are opposing the possibility of hosting EDCA sites in their provinces, like Governor Mamba, for example. He said U.S. might use his province as a launching pad in a potential conflict with Taiwan. So, how do you respond to that kind of opposition, and what's the status of the ongoing consultation, and would such opposition affect the identification of final EDCA sites?
We have already talked to Governor Mamba. He even visited my office in PICC, and he said that for as long as the national government has decided, he will abide with the decision of the president. And we have already decided. I told him that we have already decided, so he will conform with the decision. And for the information of everybody, as early as before the Senate hearing conducted, almost all of the mayors signified their intention to support EDCA. In fact, all of the mayors of Cagayan, I can show you the resolution of the different mayors that they love to have EDCA sites in their area. And even during our visit in Kamsur, even Governor Villapuerte and Congressman Villapuerte said that we are very open to the EDCA sites because it is fronting to the Benham Rise. So we are so happy that the local leaders are very amenable, and they respect so much the president, considering that the president has enjoyed much popular support. And we all know that the governors and even the mayors are very supportive. Even the barangay captains, when we talk with them, they even love to have exercises in their areas.
Thank you, Secretary. Okay. Our ambassador from the U.S. will add to that.
I certainly don't want to get ahead of the Philippine government, and the officer in charge has made exactly the right statement in terms of where things stand. But I would add also that we in the U.S. Embassy and across the U.S. government are very honored that in recent opinion polls, 88% of Philippine public supports the United States and believes the U.S. is a trusted ally, specifically with regard to the West Philippine Sea and the South China Sea. So that is both an honor and a responsibility that we have and we enjoy with our Philippine allies. And one thing that I have learned since I have been the U.S. ambassador here is how integral the planning process is to the selection of EDCA sites, to the exercise process. Our two militaries are working together 365 days of the year, working to determine what is in both of our countries' best interests. So when they selected these sites, that was taking into account issues such as force modernization, interoperability, looking at what the Philippine side needs and wants, and what the United States side needs and wants, and what each side can offer to the other. So we are very honored by this alliance and by the trust that has been placed in the United States by the people of this country and between our two militaries. And I am sure that any specifics with regard to concerns about the individual sites will be worked out by the Philippine government, no doubt. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Up next, we shall have a question from Agence France Presse, Ms. Alison Jackson.
My question is for Secretary Kendall and for Senior Undersecretary Galvez. This morning, Ambassador Romualdez said that President Marcos has approved the additional 4 locations for the EDCA, for additional 4 EDCA locations. What's the hold-up for announcing these publicly? Are the US and the Philippines concerned about antagonizing Beijing? And Secretary Galvez said he hopes the US will consider more EDCA projects. Does that mean more sites beyond the 9 already announced? Or are you referring to more projects on the existing 9?
I'm encouraged by what you told me. We don't. The Undersecretary may have more information about that than I do. The 2 countries will announce as soon as they can. It's just a question of, I think, coming to mutual agreement about the final announcement. ECTA, as I understand it, is a living agreement, and it changes over time. What we're seeing here today is a part of that being fulfilled, as are the new sites that are being considered. And I'm sure we'll continue to work together, and as the ambassador said, based on our mutual needs for security and peace and stability in the region. So I expect there will be more things in the future, but I think what we have done to date and what we'll be announcing shortly is a major step forward.
Let's wait for the announcement. It might be announced soon. As we have agreed that it will be a mutual understanding that we will have the agreement of announcing it. But let's wait for the announcement. And secondly, we are looking forward for maybe some possibility, because there are many LGUs and local government and governors of the different areas, strategic areas, that they're looking forward for having an EDCA sites in their places. So that's how popular the EDCAs, because it really gave us a strategic area wherein, for example, Bicol, it's a very disaster-stricken area, and we need to have some sort of bilateral cooperations on how we could collectively respond to some sort of some humanitarian conditions that might be our country cannot hold, because there are a lot of possibilities that earthquake might happen, like what happened to Turkey. That's beyond the capability of each our nation, and we need the support of all nations to respond to our need. So that's my point, because the Philippines is one of the most vulnerable to climate change, and it is lying in the typhoon belt area, wherein we have 21 to 26 typhoons every year, and it is lie on the ring of fire, and we are a volcanic region. Thank you.
So we have room for one last question. May I call on Mr. Ken Sasaki from Kyodo News?
Thank you. During the President Marcos' visit to Japan, he described in his interview to us that there was a proposal about trilateral security agreement, including Japan. I wish to ask you about the details of the progress, and also about the merit from Philippine side and U.S. side to include Japan into the collective defense system. The question is to Secretary Galvez and maybe Ambassador Carlson. Sorry. Thank you.
Of course, Japan is one of our very important ally, and considering that Japan is one of our most dependable allies, considering that they also help us a lot. Previously, as a peace process, Japan is one of our major partners, and we see that in the future, a trilateral agreement with the U.S. and Japan and the Philippines might be an aspiration that we can pursue. For now, our chief of staff, the chief of staff, and also my undersecretary just came from Japan, and they are looking forward that they will be having already pushing some plans on having the AAR or the MOPA meeting, wherein we can have the access, reciprocal access with Japan and the Philippines may be pushing already. So we are looking forward that we can have this, because we know that this tripartite agreement is very, very important, because we share the same interest of having a very peaceful Indo-Pacific region.
In the public opinion poll that I cited, where the U.S. receives 88% trust by the Philippine public in terms of our support for the Philippines, specifically in the West Philippine Sea or the South China Sea. The second country behind the United States is Japan. So I think it makes a lot of sense to look where we have synergies to work trilaterally on maritime domain awareness. We also see our Coast Guards working together. So I think when our allies, our alliances work together bilaterally, trilaterally, multilaterally, I think that's all to the good and will support the lives and livelihoods of our peoples.
Sirs and ma'ams, much as we don't have enough time, and I believe our media friends are already very satisfied with the answers. So that concludes our press conference for this afternoon. On behalf of the Defense Department, the Armed Forces of the Philippines, and the Philippine Air Force, and of course our counterparts from the United States, thank you for joining us today. Good afternoon.